Let's talk about equipment and then we'll talk about the flow of class. Equipment for class. You should have a large pot of water boiling. 8 cups, 9 cups actually.
9 cups.
With a lid. I've got a smaller pot here. This is going to be for my simple syrup with 2 cups of water in it with a lid. I got a spoon so I can stir. You should have a colander at the ready. We're going to use that to drain the boba pearls and then rinse them really, really well. Hopefully you've got a cup for your tea. And then for your actual beverages themselves, some sort of tall glass. I like a high ball here. And some sort of shaker. I don't have an actual martini shaker. Whoops. There we go. I don't actually have a martini shaker, but I got a mason jar with a chopstick, and that'll work. Did anyone have any substitutions for equipment? Holly, I'm looking at you. Any substitutions for your equipment?
I don't think so. But what did you say about the simple syrup?
You need a pot for it.
Oh,
with a lid. Yeah, with 2 cups of water in it.
Okay.
2 cups of water.
Should that be boiling right now, Chef?
No, not yet. We will in a second. It's not going to take too long. We actually, and the reason why I'm holding off on boiling it is because we need to cool it down. We just need to get it warmed enough so the sugar can melt, and then it has to cool down. So I'm not going to get it too hot. Yeah, Jim.
Would you consider it cheating if somebody else is helping you in the kitchen, or is that perfectly legal in this environment? Because I'm looking at Silval on this, and he looks like he has some people helping him. Can you just set the ground rule? Is that okay, or is he cheating?
I believe that teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh,
and
wow.
the family that can cook together in the kitchen is the family that stays together. Me and my, so here's, you put my mother and I in the same kitchen, and she's like right here on my shoulder, and I'm like, Ma, I got this. I got this. Graduated honors, one of the top culinary schools in the country. I got this.
Nice.
Jim, I just don't understand how you're going to call out James when you already said you weren't going to do this without your daughter. So I'm really confused on that double standard right there.
He's doing it live. I'm not.
I think he's just butthurt that he can't start yet.
Thank you, Emma, for that.
Oh my gosh,
Sorry, it was really hypocritical, James. I got you. It was so inconsistent.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the flow of class. We're gonna, I've got this pot of water going here. I'm just gonna scoop out a cup and start steeping my tea, whatever tea that you're working with. But it should be like a dark tea, black tea. And it's gonna need to steep for 2 to 3 minutes, and then we're gonna let it cool. Then we're gonna get started on our tapioca. Get that going. It's gonna cook for about 25 minutes or so, and then soak for about another 25 to 30 minutes.
The water, are we taking it out of the cup with the pan with 2 cups, or are we taking it out of the big pot?
The big pot. Good question. Good clarifying question. Then we're going to get to work on our simple syrup. While the boba pearls are steeping, I've got a special treat for you. We're going to do a demo on some mochi cupcakes, which are awesome if you haven't had one yet. All the ingredients that I'm going to be using are actually in your box too. And then towards the tail end, once the pearls have steeped, or once give them a nice good rinse under cold water, and then start building our boba tea.
And Chef, this is tea that we're just going to use that we have lying around the house.
Yeah, sure. Some sort. I don't believe it was in the box. So it's any sort of black tea that brings you joy. Whatever brings you joy. Okay. Earl Grey brings me joy. I love the Bergamot
chai black tea.
Does that bring you joy, Shannon?
I don't know.
We're about to find out. So over here, I've got my pot. My lid is hot.
Should I put my tapioca in even though it's not boiling?
No, you're gonna wait until it's boiling. So keep the lid on. Keep the lid on. And rip it up as high as it will go.
It is.
I've got my little ladle here, and I'm just gonna bring out 1 cup of water. Again, whatever tea that you have, black tea typically needs water at 212, so that's boiling. And 2 to 3 minutes. Anything longer than that, 2 to 3 minutes, and you start to get bitter notes and whatnot. So I've got my little tea ball. You need about an ounce, or a tablespoon or so of tea.
Can I see what tea ball you're using on your close-up? Because
absolutely
leak. All of my leaves leak out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
I know, right?
So here's mine.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not gonna have
And
any
you can stir with it. That's what's awesome about it.
Cool.
So
So BB,
Yes.
we in my household, or especially my husband, is always drinking tea. And we were always using a tea kettle. And I finally made the transition to the electric pot, the
Yep.
electric carafe, and I love it. Like, what a waste of gas on my stove and waiting for the tea kettle, and it's so
Yes.
hot. So if anyone hasn't embraced what do you call it? The electric kettle, maybe? Is that what it's called?
Percolator.
It heats up so quick.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised.
And the crazy thing about that is that if you go to like basically anywhere else besides the United States, everyone has one.
I know. I remember. I'm like,
Everyone. I have one. It's the best thing ever.
yeah,
It's the best thing ever.
absolutely.
So we've got our tea. It's going. It's steeping. 2 to 3 minutes. Nothing more longer than that. Otherwise, you start getting bitter notes. Over here with my pot, I'm going to start cooking up my boba. And so here's my pot. It's at a nice boil. I've got a cup of the boba. It's black. Here's what it begins, what it looks like in the beginning. Into the pot it goes. Shannon, this is you.
Okay.
Stir it really well. And I'm actually going to stir it until they start to float.
My water's not boiling.
But wait till it boils. Again, put your lid on your pot. Keep it ripping hot as it will go. And don't take the lid off to peak. Keep letting it go until you see some steam come out. And so boba pearls are made from tapioca, which comes from the cassava plant. And what's great about them as a starch is that they're basically this blank canvas onto which you can paint all kinds of flavor. And I believe your bag has a black sugar flavor, hence the color as well. And I'm just going to turn my heat up to get it back to a boil. And I'm really sort of stirring it until I can see these boba pearls float. This is going to make sure that they're nice and individual. And if you look at the actual boba in its raw format, grab one for a close up.
You realize we should have been doing something that was green today. Not that I'm Irish. Add some food coloring. Would that be appropriate? Probably
You
not.
could do some food coloring. If you wanted to add a twist of lime, I would say I call that green, call it a day. Add in some mint, I call that green, call it a day.
Yeah, good tips. That's why you're the teacher.
So in its raw format, if you just press it down, it's just this powder, right? And Shannon, this is why you got lumpy.
Yeah.
So as we stir it, what's happening is, okay, if I get too scientific geeky, just give me a hands up and tell me to stop. But this is like my happy place. What's happening here is what's called starch gelation. Starch gelation. Gelation. I was that kid who loved the spelling bee, by the way, in school. Starch gelation. And so it's happening at this 212 temperature. The actual starch itself at a molecular level basically releases its molecular bonds and then starts interacting with water. It binds itself to water.
Excuse me?
Yes.
How much
James.
boba do you
1 cup.
need?
1 cup. I'm sorry, I should have been more clear on that. 1 cup of boba, y'all. 1 cup of boba.
How many servings does that make?
This is going to make need a half a cup, 4 servings. So you're gonna have some left over here. You're gonna have some left over, and I'll show you how to store it as well.
Can you
And
eat
so-
these raw?
One more time. Ben?
These tapioca balls, can you eat them raw?
I would not do that unless it would be like eating like rice raw. You can try it though. Give it a try. I don't think it'll taste good. You see how when I crushed one, it got really powdery.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's flour in
Yeah.
here too, right?
Mm.
This is all tapioca. This is gluten-free.
Oh, okay.
Tapioca made from the cassava. So this in its raw form right now, it's really just a powder that's been pressed into a round shell. And it's through the cooking process here, boiling, and then the steeping process. The boiling process gets the sort of outside kernel starting to start the starches to gellate, to cook.
Chef Beebe,
Yeah, Jim.
I'm sorry, my cooking experience is pretty much limited to toast. You mentioned
love
the word
toast.
cassata. What is that?
Cassava is a type of vegetable tuber,
Got
grows in the
it.
ground. Usually it's got like it's a brown husk
Okay.
that's pretty that's actually coated in wax that you have to peel. It's almost like a texture like a potato, but a little bit more fibrous.
Now,
You see it
that's not something, where's that mostly grown from? And
Thank you for that softball. But you see it in a lot of Latin American cuisine.
mhm.
You'll see it used like cooked twice, so it'll be boiled first, and then sometimes it'll be fried.
Okay.
Cassava French fries are awesome with
Mhm.
chimichurri sauce.
All right. Next week we'll do French fries.
So here I am. They're all nice, and Shannon, this is for you. I continue to stir until they're floating. When they're floating, that tells me that that outside layer has cooked enough so it won't stick to the other. I won't get clumps. And so now I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let it go for like 25 minutes. And then we'll let it steep for like 30. Give me a thumbs up if you were floating.
I'm boiling.
You're boiling? Yes. That's what we want.
And you
If
stir
you're
it as you pour it in, right?
Yes. Put it in and then you stir, stir, stir. And keep on stirring until they float. That's your visual cue that the outside has cooked enough so you won't get the lumps that you got, Shannon.
That was one big lump at first.
Try and try again. There you go. So 1 cup goes into the 8 cups of water. We're going to let it cook for like 25 minutes. Then it steeps. That steeping process is going to help the inside of the boba pearl cook through.
And so, Chef BB, just
Yes.
to clarify, number one, there is nothing else in the water except for the boba, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then do we keep the temperature up very high because it's floating? So do we turn it down, keep it the
So
same?
here's what I would like. See how much action I have in my pan? That's how much action I have in my pan.
Got it. Okay.
So whatever action, you're going to adjust your heat to get that type of action. I'm basically on medium heat, but it's medium heat for me. Your medium might be different, James, especially for folks who are in high altitude. So here's my, adjust yours to make it look like this.
Action Jacks.
There it is. Nice little even simmer. Goes for 25 minutes, and then we're going to turn with the lid off. And then after that, we're going to put the lid on, turn the heat off, and it's going to steep like a tea. And that's going to help cook it all the way through to the center. I did actually, I think I showed Shannon one, but just so the rest of you guys can see as well. I did some in advance of class, and that's what the finished product looks like. Nice and round and glossy, voluptuous pearls. And that's one of the things I love about boba. It's got so much beautiful texture on it with the pearls. All right, so we're gonna let that go. 25 minutes. I'm actually gonna set my little timer. While that's going, we're gonna get started on our simple syrup. So simple syrup is simple. You're gonna have equal parts water and sugar. So I've got 2 cups of water in my pot, a small one. I'm just gonna add a cup of brown sugar and a cup of white sugar. If you didn't want to do white sugar,